Today I'm joined by Sir David Rowlands, who is in charge of the High Speed 2 project for the government. Sir David, welcome to the Birmingham Post.
Good afternoon, Paul.
Firstly, could you tell me at what stage High Speed 2 is at this moment?
We are on course to give the government by the end of this year, that's the end of December, a full detailed report in terms of first of all building a high-speed line from London through to Birmingham, and then the options to go further north beyond that.
Stage you're at the moment, can you kind of weigh up the pros and cons of a city centre and an outside airport station?
Yeah, I think I can kind of give you a helpful answer, I think. Perhaps to start in the wrong place, for perhaps understandable reasons, there are some people who think it's a sort of either or. I mean, either you have a city centre station or you have a parkway. We've never seen it in those terms, because what matters in the end is where's the demand, who's going to use the station. Now, I have said in the past that certainly all the advice we get from people like the French from SNCF is if you build a high-speed network, then you need city centre stations. So we can pretty much see the need for a station in the centre of Birmingham and similarly in the centre of London. But that doesn't mean you couldn't have, for Birmingham, for example, a parkway station as well. And that parkway couldn't be at, for example, Birmingham International Airport. And I know there's been some concern locally in Birmingham over this, but perhaps it's helpful if I say that we're not just looking at where a city centre station might be for Birmingham, but we are looking very hard at a parkway station as well, and particularly at Birmingham International. That's work that we're still doing, and we're meeting this month, for example, with Birmingham International itself to look at the idea of a parkway station. It's not going to be clear for a little while yet what the final conclusions will be, but what I can say is that we're looking both at the city centre and at Birmingham International, and we will be covering both in the final report to government.
Okay. So is there a possibility that a high-speed rail link could pass both through a city centre and a parkway?
That's one option. If you get your map out, you can draw all sorts of lines, but we will give government a firm recommendations. I think the greater likelihood is that the city centre in Birmingham would probably be served by a spur line coming off the high-speed route, yeah?
Okay.
And then if there is also something, say at Birmingham International, that would be on the line itself. It seems less likely, to be very honest with you, that any high-speed line would run through the centre of Birmingham, rather than it will be served by a spur off the high-speed line. And that's simply to do with the engineering challenge. I think people in Birmingham can understand just how difficult it might be to put a high-speed line right the way through the city and out the other side. It may be more easily done, as I say, as a spur line coming off.
And I assume that spur line would be somewhere like Birmingham New Street or Birmingham Moor Street or Snow Hill.
You're tempting me into trying to give you a specific answer now, aren't you? Let me try to be helpful.
Sure.
Maybe I'll say one or two things. I know that when Network Rail launched its new line study last week, Ian Coucher, who's the chief executive, I think was reported in Birmingham as saying New Street won't be able to cope with any new traffic. Birmingham would need a new station, but we don't know where that station would be. Ian is certainly right, I think. It's pretty unlikely Birmingham New Street could handle traffic from a new high-speed service. The station's full already. So the question would be, if it isn't New Street, where else might it be? I can tell you now, but we weren't going to tell you last week. I and my board at HS2 paid a quiet visit to Birmingham and walked around in the pouring rain all the potential sites for a new station. So we had an understanding on the ground as well as from an engineering perspective. We have a very clear idea of what the options might be. The work's still being done, but what I can say is that what we will give the government at the end of the year is a very clear recommendation as to where a new city centre station might be for Birmingham, down to precise details of its location.
So David Rowlands, thanks very much for joining us today.
Thank you.